What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to Ock Boxing, and I'm back with another video. Today we're gonna be talking about this Matchroom versus Golden Boy 5-on-5. I know y'all seen Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn talking about it. You know, it's been a lot of talk. It's been people putting out some matchups that they think would be good and shit. But I had to make a video because I feel like there's some better matchups out there. I definitely do. So without further ado, we're gonna get right into it. I got probably 10 matchups for y'all. If they can't make 5 matchups happen out of these 10, they ain't really want to make this card happen for real. Off rip, I seen people talking about Ryan Garcia versus Boots. To be honest, I don't like that fight. Ryan ain't fought at 147 yet. We haven't even seen him without steroids. We don't even know how good he really is. But he's a big name. We know he's good, at least somewhat. Look, Ryan's with Golden Boy. He's at 140. It just makes sense. Him versus Richardson Hitchens. Richardson Hitchens is at Matchroom. That's a perfect headline right there. That'll be a huge fight, 140-pound championship, feel me, if Ryan can make the weight. But the thing is, they could even make that at a catch weight if they wanted to. It just wouldn't be for a belt. But that'd still be a big fight because, you know, Richardson Hitchens said that he have a tough time making the weight too. I think that's a good fight right there. That's a great headline too because, you know, Ryan Garcia, a big name. Hitchens, he a decently big name too now. You feel me? His name getting out there. He just came off a great performance. And it's a good stylistic matchup too. That brings us to what I think should be, I think this would definitely be the co-main. Opataya versus Zerto. Unification fight. That's the best fight in the cruiserweight division. You can't talk about Golden Boy versus Matchroom and not put Opataya versus Zerto in that card. You feel what I'm saying? That's literally the best fight you could make. Next one, this one been talked about already, feel me? But I'm gonna just get it out the way. I definitely think this gotta be on that card. We got Shakur versus Zepeda, you feel me? Right now, we already got another Matchroom Golden Boy matchup with Shakur and Kid Austin coming up, but I think Shakur gonna get through Kid Austin pretty easy. And then we got, Shakur versus Zepeda. That's what this fight was supposed to be. So if you guys gonna do the 5-on-5, put Shakur versus Zepeda on there. Without further ado, let's get on to the next one. Look, so I seen people talking about Virgil versus Boots. Boots turned it down, but who knows? There might be another card coming up where now people want to bring that up again, but Boots not going up to 54, I don't think. But if he is willing to go up to 54, obviously we got to talk about Virgil versus Boots. But maybe he might want to go up and he want just an easier fight, a little softer touch for his first fight at 154. Shit, if that's the case, he could fight, instead of Virgil, he could fight Charles Conwell, bro. Conwell is nice, but he's definitely an easier fight than Virgil. He don't got the same kind of experience. He hasn't fought at that same level. He hasn't fought nobody like a Sergey Boachuk. You feel me? So yeah, I think Conwell versus Boots would be a good fight too. But let's talk about Virgil though. Let's say Virgil can't make that Boots fight. Virgil versus Conor Ben. Let's make that fight right there. They both kind of at that contender status right now. I think I definitely pick Virgil to win that fight, but they talking about bringing Conor Ben up to 160 to fight Chris Eubank. Why not bring him to 154? You feel me? Virgil started at 147 too, so there's no reason that he can't fight Conor Ben. I think that's a better fight to me than Conor Ben versus Chris Eubank. I don't even want to see that shit for real. But yeah, moving on. Coming down to this 5th fight is going to depend on the outcome of this other Golden Boy versus Matchroom matchup that's coming up. You got Jack Catterall versus Arnold Barbosa. That could go one of two ways. Let's say Catterall wins. I'm not gonna hold you. There's not too much of a fight for Catterall on the Golden Boy roster other than a Ryan Garcia, but I think Hitchens versus Ryan Garcia is better fight. But let's say Barbosa win. This would be his first big win. So I don't think that really earned him a title shot yet. But he should be fighting someone who just was a champion, like a Liam Paro, who's also in Matchroom. That would be a good fight right there. But let's say you can't make that fight, but Barbosa win. You could make a Jack Catterall versus a O'Hara Davies, because O'Hara Davies, he with Golden Boy. And obviously he coming off a bunch of losses, but that's a good comeback fight right there for Catterall if Catterall loses. But if Catterall wins, it's no fights for Catterall if he wins. That's the problem. And I really feel bad for Catterall because he should have been undisputed. Let's get that out the way. Catterall should have been undisputed when he beat Josh Taylor the first time, but they robbed him. Shit. That shit is fucked up. That's just the politics of boxing. That's how this shit go. You feel me? But hopefully Catterall do win that fight too, because I don't want to see him lose and not get a title shot after he already should have been undisputed. I want to see him become world champion just because of that. I'm gonna give y'all some more matchups though, because let's say that these 5 matchups that I gave y'all don't go through, and obviously I gave y'all more than 5, but they all different variations of, or at least the last 2 is just different variations of the same matchup. If one thing don't work, you could do the other types. You feel me? You guys know what I'm saying. Let's go back to Charles Conwell. It's not too many people on the Matchroom roster for him at 154, but at 147, you got somebody who used to fight at 54 and is now down at 47 for some reason. But he should really move up to 54, because that's a more active division. But I guess maybe he thinks 47 gonna be easier to grab a title off of Barrios or something like that. But that fight right there that I'm talking about is Charles Conwell versus Suleiman Sissoko. Now, y'all might not know Sissoko. He's kind of going under the radar. But he done beat some guys even at 160. I think he fought at 160 originally. He's an undefeated prospect. I guess borderline contender. You know, that's the same thing with Conwell. He a prospect, borderline contender, undefeated. I think that's a perfect fight. But then I got another one, right? You could really do so many different fights. You got Jaime Munguia, right, at Golden Boy. Jaime Munguia is a big name too. And that's probably a bigger fight than whatever fight you're going to put Catterall or Barbosa in after their fight. Because you can't put Catterall in no fight if he win. Not against a Golden Boy fighter, at least. So I should have probably really put this as the 5th. Now, if Munguia just is a dog, make Munguia versus Pacheco. That's a good fight right there. I'm picking Pacheco to win, especially with Munguia coming off this knockout loss to Saras. Saras. I don't even know how to pronounce his name for real, but credit to him. I mean, he came in there and he knocked out the huge favorite. Feel me? So credit to Saras. But if Munguia wanna challenge himself after a loss like that, I'll give him just as much credit. So if he go fight a Pacheco, I mean, credit to Munguia. But if he want a little softer touch, you also got a Edgar Berlanga with Matchroom. You guys both coming off losses to Canelo. Munguia just came off another loss, but still, it's not like Berlanga is back in the win column yet. You feel what I'm saying? You could definitely make a Munguia versus Berlanga fight. And I like that fight. Berlanga kind of been campaigning for that fight a little bit too. I think that's a good fight. But let's say you want to give Munguia an even softer touch. Now this like a British level fighter, but he's a good fighter. You know, he could give some guys some trouble who is names that we know, but he's definitely a little bit lower level. And I think he fights at 160. But look, Munguia used to fight at 160. They can make some sort of catchway. I mean, he just fought a guy from 160 and got knocked out. So maybe it's not a bad thing to be fighting a 160-pounder. Kieran Conway, he's with Matchroom too. I didn't even know he was with Matchroom for real. But I was doing my research before I made this video, and I realized that's a good matchup right there. Throw that on the bottom of the card. You already know Munguia, and then the British fans, they know Conway. So that's going to draw some people in. For a name like Jaime Munguia to be the lowest fight on the card, that's big. That's going to make that a big card. But he hasn't really been the same at 68, to be honest. Like, he struggled with Deryachenko, who really is like a 60-pounder too. He's not really a 68-pounder. But yeah, Munguia versus Conway, Munguia versus Berlanga, Munguia versus Pacheco, all options right there. Now we get to another fight that could involve Conor Benn. Let's say you don't put Conor Benn in there with Virgil Ortiz. You want to give him an easier fight, which, yeah, I don't think Conor Benn want to go anywhere near Virgil Ortiz if I'm keeping it real. So I don't think that fight going to happen. Well, you got other options. You got the 2 guys who just had a draw. Curiel versus Rocha, that was a great fight. But they both with Golden Boy. And they both at 147. Conor Benn is at 147. You can make either of them versus Conor Benn. That's a great fight right there. I don't even know who I would pick to win either of those fights. Those is really all 50-50 fights right there. You make Curiel versus Conor Benn, or you make Alexis Rocha, my fault, yeah. Or you make Alexis Rocha versus Conor Benn. Either way, great fight. If you put any of these fights together that I mentioned, you're going to have a great card. But if it was up to me, my ideal card, you're going to have Hitchens versus Garcia, Shakur versus Zepeda, Opataya versus Zerto. I want to say Virgil versus Boots, but I don't think that's going to happen. So let's just scratch that. You're going to have Virgil versus Conor Benn, and you're going to have Munguia versus Berlanga. That's my ideal 5v5 right there. Golden Boy don't got the deepest roster, but they got some guys, and Matchroom probably got the deepest roster in boxing right now. So it's some great fights that could be made. I hope that they make this 5v5. I hope Oscar and Eddie put whatever beef they got going on to the side because they both with the zone, and they just make this card because I think this could be a great card. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, that's it for me today. That's the end of this video. Let me know what y'all thoughts in the comments. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You feel me? Support is free at the end of the day, and that should make a huge difference for the algorithm. I'm really trying to get these videos out there. You feel me? I'm a new channel. Just make sure you tune in. I'm gonna have a lot more content coming, and yeah, just fuck with me. Feel me?